After watching 15 or 20 minutes of this course, hopefully you're raring to run out and purchase a new or used machine. But before you do, let's go over some important considerations allowing you to make the right choice. First, we have horizontals and vertical machines. These machines and their application are going to vary considerably. I would strongly recommend the purchase of a vertical machine versus a horizontal. A horizontal is very limited in its application. If you have a new brainstorm or idea or have a market that a horizontal is going to lend itself, by all means look in that direction. But in terms of overall user versatility and application for making different parts and pieces, the vertical mill is far more beneficial to you than that of a horizontal. We've got horizontal mills that are made by Cincinnati, Brown and Sharp, Norman Van Hoff. There's a lot of different shapes and sizes. Look through a lot of the old machinery dealers in the area. There's not too many new horizontal mills being made today. You can get some good buys on the older used machines, but beware, they're usually going to be big machines. Machine that's maybe got a table 48 to 56 inches in length, going to be approximately 2 to 3 times heavier than what we see in a standard vertical mill. Make sure that you have the proper power capabilities to be able to run these machines. Oftentimes these big heavy-duty horizontals are going to be 223 phase or 440. All right, so make sure, check with the power company to make sure that your home shop or the industrial park that you plan on working out of has the capacity to run these big machines. In the vertical end of things, I really think that a Bridgeport machine you can't go wrong with, especially some of the earlier machines. I've heard varying reports about the quality of the newer Bridgeports. I personally haven't had any experience there to be able to direct you one way or another, but any Bridgeport that's 10, 12, 15, 20 years old and in good working condition is an excellent buy. There have been a variety of Bridgeport knockoffs. The folks at Jet make one. There's the Lagund. You've got a Wells Index, an Acer. There's a variety of different Asian copies of the Bridgeport. Most of them are pretty good, but again, if you shop around, watch the machinery shows, watch the newspapers, there's always a machine shop going in or out of business that has an old Bridgeport for sale, and you can usually buy these machines for somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,500 to $6,000, $7,000, depending upon the amount and type of tooling that come with the machine. Keep in mind the size that you want to play with as well in the vertical machine. As we mentioned earlier, the style machine that we have here today is a 9x42. This is probably the most common size of a Bridgeport or Bridgeport knockoff machines, and again, it will serve you for 99% of all of the vertical mill applications you're likely to encounter. Now, let's say that we don't have the bucks to run out and buy a brand new machine at $8,000, $10,000, and we found a good deal. We saw an ad in the classifieds that says machine shop going out of biz, good buys on equipment, and we race down and he's got several Bridgeports. What do we look for to ensure that we're getting a good piece of equipment? All right, oftentimes the individuals that are selling equipment are not going to really be upfront with you as to just how good the machine is, so it's up to you to question them properly, look the machine over, ask to run a few test pieces on it to ensure that the machine is going to hold the tolerances that you desire for your specific application. The biggest thing I think that dictates the quality of the machine and is the type of use that it has. If that machine's being worked 24 hours a day, 3 8-hour shifts, and they're machining with a big hob cutter or a facing mill, steel, hardened cast iron parts, that machine's really seen a lot of hard use, and I would strongly recommend shying away from that machine. Buying a machine that's been used in an automotive application where they've got a lot of people in and out that may not be skilled machinists, again, a machine that we probably want to stay away from. Inspect the overall condition of the machine. If he's got way covers, pull the way covers off, take a look at the bed. If you see a lot of holes and mill marks and stuff that have been machined in the bed, that tells you that we've had operators on the machine that don't necessarily know what they're doing, and we can expect that the rest of the machine has been abused as well. If you can find a machine that came out of a mold making shop, again, they have pretty high tolerances in the manufacturing a lot of the molds. So When the machine starts to get a little tired for them by mold making standards, the machine still has a lot of good years left in it. You can look around. A test that I like to do is just see how free the quill is. Rotate the quill up and down. If we touch the handle and immediately it freewheels to the ground, that tells you that they probably drilled 2 or 3 million holes with it and they didn't do a good job of lubricating it in the process. You can go ahead and adjust the spindle all the way down. Make sure and take your quill stops here and run them down to the bottom. We'll do that quickly, and we'll show you another tip to check out the spindle of the machine. Let's go ahead and extend the spindle all the way down. We can take a magnetic base, pull our vise out, and attach our magnetic base to the vise, to the spindle quill, and again, push on it. If we get any movement out of our dial on the back side, that tells us that that spindle, again, is getting pretty sloppy. Look for wear lines around the periphery of the spindle. You can see here where we have the lock on the quill, we've got a little wear mark. If you see those around the spindle, if you see nicks, chips, and dinks in the quill itself, that tells you again that the machine wasn't properly taken care of. Another good way to do it is turn the machine on. Listen to the machine in back gear as well as in direct drive. Turn it up to high speed and see what it sounds like at 2720 RPM. If we get a lot of gear howl out of the machine, it's probably got some bearings or the gears are getting pretty tired in it. And again, this is going to be expensive for you to replace or repair. So again, that's something to shy away from. Look around at the type of tooling that comes with the machine. If we find a machine, it's got a rotary table with it, it's got a Kurt Angle lock vise, it's got a dividing head, all of those things are positive attributes that, hey, this machine's pretty well tooled. We can put it in the truck, haul it home, and go to work in the morning and start producing parts. Does the machine have a power feed on the x-axis? Is it a Bridgeport feed? Is it a Japanese feed? Is it a quality American-made servo feed? So these are things to keep in mind. That's an extra $300, $400, $500 depending upon the manufacturer of the power feeds. Does the machine have a digital readout? This is a digital readout, and it pretty well replaces the dials, allowing you to not keep track of the dials. We're just simply going to watch as we rotate and change directions on the Y or on the x-axis to locate a hole or mill a slot. That's an additional $600, $700, $800, again, depending upon the model that you buy, that we can credit towards the basic machine. You can look around on a lot of the chips. This machine has the accordion style way covers on them. If the machine didn't have way covers on it, go ahead and expose the bed all the way by cranking the saddle out and inspect the ways. If you see chips that are buried in it, if the ways are really sloppy, again, this is something telling you that the machine was not taken care of. They didn't have pride enough to purchase some good way covers to protect that. Check the backlash in the dials, and the best way to do that is go ahead and run to about the center of the saddle. This is where the machine is getting most of its use, is in the center of its travel. Go ahead and lock down the gibs, and then let's check and see how much backlash we have in the dial. Okay, so you can turn the dial one way until it stops, loosen your lock nut, go ahead and rotate the bezel around to 0, lock it down, and then turn it back the other direction. And this particular machine has 11 thousandths of backlash, so it's in really good shape. If you go 30, 40, 50 thousandths of backlash, that tells you that that particular lead screw is worn very heavily and the machine has seen a lot of hard use. The machine has been climb cut on with a big heavy cutter. Okay, so again, those are good areas. Watch out for the backlash. Another area that you want to watch too is the lubrication of the machine. Talk to the owner, find out if he's the original owner, the second owner, or the 10th owner. Find out his lubrication and his maintenance schedule on the machine. Did they lube it once a week? Did they lube it once a year? Or, wow, gosh, it hasn't been lubed since we bought it and moved it into the shop. Again, these are all good indicators allowing you to make the proper selection in that machine. Check all of the functions of the machine. Make sure that they work. Make sure that the power feed on the quill operates correctly. On the power feed selector, go ahead and make those different selections to make sure that all of the gears in the running order of the machine is functioning properly. Go ahead and put it in back gear. Remember we showed you how to shift gears here and go into the back gear cycle. Run it up and down the pulley systems and make sure that we don't have any gear whine or howl in those operations. Don't forget, as we change from back gear to direct drive, that we go ahead and rotate the spindle, making sure that the gears are meshed properly when we get ready to turn it on for direct drive. That pretty well covers the nuts and bolts of how to choose and select a used machine. If you have any doubts, it's best to pass on the machine and go look at another machine. Once you get out in the machine shop field, you're going to find there's a lot of machines for you to pick and choose from. Choose one that best suits your needs. Check out all of the additional features and accessories that are available with that machine. Ask the operator if you can run the machine. You've got some tolerances you want to check. Okay, these are all important things that allow you to get the best used machine available on the market. If you have enough bucks to buy a new machine, I strongly recommend the purchase of a new Bridgeport. They're amongst the finest machines available today. If you're looking at an aftermarket knockoff, Jet produces a good quality machine. There's Wells Index. Lagund also produces an excellent machine. Check out the castings, look at the quality and fit and finish of each individual part on the machine. Okay, you'll find with a lot of the foreign imports that the castings and stuff are really a little rough. They coat things with a lot of Bondo and then shoot a coat of paint over them. This is an indicator that, you know, cosmetically they're really not up to speed. And how does that relate to the rest of the machine? Is the squareness and parallelism of the machine as accurate, or did they do the same things that we did in the exterior finish of the machine? So that pretty well covers the ins and outs of purchasing a new or a used machine. I hope that you've learned something, and then this allows you to make a wise decision in the new machine that you're about to bring home.